Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 20 of the WhotKnot podcast. My name is Kathy. I am a disabled maker after a car accident in 2007, and this is a podcast about all the crafty things that I get up to. And I am doing a Q&A on this episode. We've got giveaways, we've got prizes. It's funny, because every week when I finish the podcast, I get worried and think, I hope I'm going to have enough stuff to talk about on the next podcast. And then the next podcast comes around and there's always more stuff to talk about, apparently. Anyway, so I thought I'd give a little bit more information since we're up to episode 20. And we've had a lot of new subscribers. So welcome everybody. Welcome old, welcome new, welcome everybody. So a little bit about me is that in 2007, I had a car accident. And as a result of that, I damaged my spinal cord and am classified as an incomplete quadriplegic, which basically means incomplete my spinal cord was not completely severed. Incomplete quad means that all four limbs have been affected. So the bottom line is that the left side of my body is a lot worse than the right side of my body. And I can stand, I can walk. I have a trolley that I use around the house to walk for short periods of time. In fact, that's what you're balanced on today. Because, as you can see, we've got a new setup, which I'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, that's my situation. And I know sometimes it might appear that I handle things quite well on the podcast and that. I think that you need to bear in mind that I have been doing this quadriplegic thing for 13 years as of the 7th of December. So I've learnt to adapt and modify the way I do things to cope. And look, that's nothing special. I think we all do that. In life, we all adapt to our own circumstances. If you're somebody that doesn't gets tired in the afternoon, then you tend to do things in the morning. You just adapt to your circumstances. And, after 13 years, that's what I've done. In fact, my daughter said to me the other day, sometimes, Mum, when I'm watching the podcast, you don't look disabled at all. And she said, then you'll go to hold something up when your hand will be all gimpy and she'll say, oh, there she is. I can see her now. So, look, it is what it is and I'm okay with it. And that's how it is. So that's a bit about me. I live in Australia on the Sunshine Coast with my husband. We've got 3 dogs that I hope aren't going to bark today. Posty hasn't been yet. We'll see. Ralph is asleep under the desk here. Buddy's out roaming in the garden. He's been a bit wild. I've got a pretty disgusting story to tell you at the end about Buddy. And Rusty's probably asleep on the couch, which is his favourite place to be. All right, so that's long enough for the intro, I think. Now, as you can see, we've got a new setup. I am normally facing this way because my window is here. But I thought, let's switch it up a bit. So I'm not kidding you. What's the time now? It's taken me nearly an hour and 15 minutes to set this all up to make it look nice. So I hope it's not too busy. Let me know what you think. I haven't got anything in front of me here, so I might have to reach off to the side here. I've got a little trolley set up so I can pick things up from there so I'm not moving about and making you dizzy. But this is my curio wall at the back, as you can see here. And this is my own personal yarn stash just here. I've got that organised on the top shelf. I've got sort of jumper quantities in darker colours, my pastel 4-ply, and then underneath that is the 8-ply. And all the other bits and pieces on the shelf are just things that I've picked up, that people have given me, that have sentimental value. In the cubicle just above my head, you can see her face just peeking out just there. That is a doll that I had as a child, and my grandma used to dress that little doll for me, and my mum would make the same clothes, so we used to have matching clothes. And I will insert a picture of that here, so you can have a good old chuckle at me in my foofy dress. But yep, lots of little sentimental things on the shelves there. There's a little pink, wrong side, a pink bear just there that my son gave me many years ago for Mother's Day. All sorts of little things. Just above my head here is a little picture that Mill drew of herself as a child. So I've got lots of memories on the shelves behind me. But let me know if you think it's a little bit too busy. I personally like a little bit of too busy, but if you think it's too busy, let me know and I'll swap back. But I thought, as of the 1st of December, I thought I might decorate that background with a bit of a Christmassy theme. So hang tight for that. All right, so let's have a look. I've got my book just precariously perched here. I've put my glasses here so I can reach them easier. So first off, a thank you. So I want to thank everybody that has submitted questions for the Q&A. And I've got them here, and I thought what I'll do is I will answer them throughout the episode. So as I've done a little bit of talking, we'll sort of get to the next bit and then I'll answer a question or two. So first off, what I'm wearing. I'm wearing the Cedar Pullover by Hokey, and I used the Juniper Moon's linen to knit this, and I held it together with a strand of Fiberscape, I think it is. Fiberscape Gleam, which is a silk, a thread of silk in 2-ply. And just to give it, it's got a slight pinky haze because the 2-ply was pink and the Juniper Moons was a grey colour. So I am really happy with how this turned out. It fits really well. I like the fit around the sleeves. I am the kind of person that likes it to fit a little snugly around my upper arms, mainly because I think if you've knit something and it's a little oversized, if it fits you around the arms, it looks like it fits you. I don't know. See how my brain works. So that's this, and I would knit it again. This little twisted stitch around here was a real pain to knit, I'm not going to lie, but I really liked the effect that it gave in the end. And you probably all know the jumper, or the t-shirt, but on the bottom there is a lovely lace section and it all sits very nicely. So it's a nice cooler weather jumper because it's made out of the linen. So that's that. Now, I have got some prizes to give out because there were a few of you that entered in the Time to Zweig. And Lindsay and I had a little chat about it between last podcast and this podcast. And the arrangement that we've come to is I will choose 2 people from Instagram, and Lindsay's going to choose 2 people from the Ravelry chat group because she set that up. So I've put my people in the random number generator, and I've got 2 winners. And I will announce the first winner. So the first person who has won this little set. So this beautiful mug that I actually had these custom made. So this is a custom made or one-of-a-kind mug. And I've got her lovely card here. So this is Renee Daniel Jeffries. Just double check that I'm, yep. And like a lovely little card she's got. Put that in front of my face. And she is on Etsy. And I know she's actually currently got a knitting mug in her shop. I had a look just before I came on. So she hasn't got one with the sheep on it, but she's got one with a ball of yarn available at the moment. And she's got some beautiful, beautiful mugs. So, who's won this? Well, I can tell you all the jumpers were lovely, beautiful. Everybody did a great job. But the winner of this mug is Vicki. and that is vshaw7 on Instagram. So Vicki, you will be getting this. You just need to DM me your details on Instagram postal, and I'll get that in the mail to you. And this lovely little bundle of minis was donated by lovely Em from Carter and Brown. She does a lovely job dyeing yarn with a little stitch marker on there. So thanks so much, Em. Lovely soft yarn, and I think that, Vicki, I think you'll be pretty happy with that little set. And my second prize winner, and they were in the draw, I actually dyed up 4 skeins of this yarn, which is the yarn that I used in my Zweig, and I did not need to use this, which I didn't think I was going to need to use it. And that is the second prize that'll be going out. I'll probably put a couple of other goodies with that one. Looks a bit lonesome. And the winner of that was Vicki. Liz. Liz from What Dreams May Create on Instagram. So, Liz, you will be getting this lovely skein if you could DM me your details. And this is beautiful and soft. This is the merino linen that I've been flapping on about over the last few podcasts because I love it so much. So, Liz, I will be interested to know what your thoughts are on that. All right, so that's that done. And let's get into some finished objects. All right, so the first thing I've got is my watercolour as usual. And this watercolour was a custom order. So if you want to custom order, just hit me up and I'll soon let you know if I think I can paint the picture or not. But I believe this is going to be a Christmas gift for somebody's brother. And I will be getting that in the mail today or tomorrow, probably more accurately. Yeah, so I used a slightly different technique where I drew it in with the pen and then painted over the top, which I think is easier to do when you're trying to get the detail on, in particular, houses and buildings and things of that nature. So, yep, that's done. And I've had a request for my watercolour for next week. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, all my details are below if you want to find me there. So I'll be doing that on next Thursday is when I generally put them up. So next Thursday I have had a request for something, so we'll get on to that one. Now, the second finished item that I've got, and I literally just wove in the ends. I finished it actually last week, but, you know, I hadn't woven in the ends, but I've just done that this morning. So that's all done. And that is my Ashbrook Shawl by Tamy Gore. I absolutely love it. I would absolutely recommend it, and I would knit another one of these. I thought it was such a pleasurable knit. The good thing about it is you only ever have, once you've cast on and got to your number, like you start at this end, and once you get to a certain number of stitches, it never increases from that. You always have the same number. You don't end up with hundreds and hundreds of stitches on your needle. In fact, I can tell you it's less than 200 stitches on your needle at any one time. And it's really interesting because it's constantly changing the pattern, the colours, and the minute you sort of think, oh, I've only got 2 more rows to go and then I can change to the pink, or I've only got another row to go and I'll be into that lace section, which the lace section looks beautiful but is super easy to do. So I'll show you a close-up of that. Just to make sure. Really easy to do. It's got bubbles. You can see the yarn here. This is Yarns by the Bay in the green, which is called The green is called, put my glasses on, that might help. Winter's Edge, and the pink is called Posy. And the sort of the deeper pink colour is Yarns by the Bee, and that is Posy. And as I said, the lovely green with all the deep mix of colours in it is called Winter's Edge. And the pink, the pale pink colour that you can see there is my yarn, and that is the leftovers that I used from my time to Zweig, and that is just in a lovely pale pink colour. So, yep, done. I was very happy with that. I love it. I will tell you that I did soak it a little bit too long and didn't get it out on to dry quickly. And because of that, some of the colours have sort of merged a little bit, but I still think that they pop and look good. Yep. So that's that, the Ashbrook by Tamy Gore, and I would, as I say, would definitely knit another one of those. Now, one of the things that I showed you guys last week was last fortnight, was a Windsheeter or like a jumper with Mickey Mouse on it that I was going to make into a bag for the lovely Beck, who is my daughter's partner, for Christmas. And I did that and I finished it. So that's my third finished object. And here it is. So I've used a really, really stiff lining in it because she uses these bags for like market shopping. As you can see, it's got a little bit of the sleeve on the corner there, but I wanted to make it as big as I possibly could because, as I say, she uses it to do her like little grocery shops and things like that in. You can actually see the back neck part of the Windsheeter there. And I've put some good sturdy straps on it. And inside it's lined with a lovely red contrasting fabric, and I've put some little pink pom-poms on the edge of the pocket because I think she'll like that. It's kind of hard to show you because it's so stiff. And on the little key fob, because she does work for the RSPCA, I've put a little dog. Let me see if I can hold that up for you nicely. Not doing a very good job at that, I don't think, but we'll see if it comes out. But it's a little dog with flowers, and I think she'll like that. And yeah, it's a good size. As you can see, well and truly stands up on its own. And I got Mickey in a good position, I think, on the bag itself. So yeah, that's a Christmas present done. I am trying to work on a few Christmas presents at the moment. I don't really make too many of them, but I always make something for Mill. I normally knit Beck socks, but she doesn't really wear socks. I think she'll much prefer this. The other thing I'll say to you is if you are going to try this with an old t-shirt or Windsheeter or something, because this fabric was really stretchy, what I did was I cut the foam out, sewed it to the foam, each panel, and then trimmed it to size so that it was stable when I actually sewed the two pieces together to give it a bit of structure because it was kind of sloppy. So, yeah, they are my finished objects. They're not burying my glasses. All right, let's have a question. Well, I think the most important question I've got here is from Kim. And it was, can we meet for coffee after COVID? Yes, absolutely. Let's all meet for coffee after COVID. Let's all get together and have a good old knit and chat and a nice cup of coffee and, of course, some cake or biscuits or something delicious like that. So, yes, Kim, yes, let's do that. So that's question 1. I should mark them off as I go, otherwise I'll get confused. And there we go, that one's done. Helen, what got you started on your crafting journey? Well, Helen, I can tell you that right from early days when we were little kids, Mum was a primary school teacher. So there were 6 of us, and she was not working when we were really little, and I think she just continued with her primary school teaching with us, and mainly in the arts and crafts area. Mum was always a very enthusiastic art and crafter. She never felt that she was that good at it, but she was definitely enthusiastic about it. And we were always doing something. We all were at Christmas time. We always had neighbourhood kids around making Santa bags or chains for Christmas. At autumn, we had a long passageway at our house, and she used to draw a tree, a massive tree on butcher's paper, and stick it to the wall at the end of the passage. And we would all have to go out and collect autumn leaves, and Mum would stick them on the tree. So I think there was always that. Even she used to keep all her old makeup, and we used to have makeup parties where we would go through her makeup, except for that went a bit pear-shaped one time when my sister and I put nail polish on my youngest sister's face for freckles. Now, that didn't go down too well, and the makeup parties, I think, ended not long after that. But she was always doing something. She always used to make Play-Doh for us. There was, outdoor painting. We had chalk we used to draw on our driveway. Yes, so I think probably it's something that I've done for my whole life and was sort of instigated when I was a child. And yeah, so it's always been something that's there, and I think that that's probably where my crafting journey started, to be honest. And of course, anything that we were interested in terms of crafting as we got older, Mum encouraged, because she liked it as well. So I think that helped. So I hope that answers your question, Helen. And another question that I had, and excuse me, I'm just going to have to reach over and grab something. Last week I caught up with the ladies for coffee, and we had a lovely coffee, and the beautiful Nicole asked me about blow drying my hair. How do I blow dry my hair? Because I can't really hold a brush or the hairdryer in this hand. And I thought, as I blow dried my hair for you guys this morning, I would show you what I use. I used to watch a podcast called Sugar, Puff and Fluff, and that was lovely Nisha, and I started watching her when she had something like 800 subscribers. Well, I think she's got over 200,000 now, but and I don't watch her as much anymore. But she showed this little gadget, and I use it all the time. So you basically, I just get a section of my hair and put it up in a bulldog clip, and I do the underneath. And really, once you've turned it on, you just have to scoop it under your hair and hold it, and this barrel spins around and it does all the hard work for you. So there you go, Nicole. I hope that answers one of the mysteries of life. That is how I blow dry my hair. And I can tell you right now that this is the second one of these I've had. And if this one broke today, I would go out and buy one tomorrow. I think they're great. So that's that. Now, let's have a chat about my whips. I haven't done any more work on my Cumulus, because if you were following me on Instagram, you know I've been having a big tidy up in my craft room, and I'm shipping off some yarn that I'm handing over to some people. I've just been getting rid of stuff, cleaning up, clearing out, although it still feels like it's packed to the rafters. And I can tell you right now, in that wardrobe that's usually behind me for the podcast is all my commercial yarn that I've got that's sort of in jumper quantities. I tend to, if I like a yarn, I will buy a jumper quantity. I might not use it for a jumper, but just in case, you know, got to be prepared for any circumstance. So I've still got to go through that. So that's on my list of things to do. And I will be doing it soon. And I'll talk to you a bit more about that at the end of the podcast, because I've got some plans for January. So we'll have a chat about that then. But we will now have a look at my whips. All right, let's have a look at this. So as I said to you last week, I'm finally going to get on to knitting my fox from the Fox and Friends. So I am using this book. I have already knit a couple of these. I've knit that little dog there, and I've knit the cat out of it. And I thought that I might talk to you a little bit about some of the tips and tricks that I've come up with for knitting these guys. And I've got this far with my fox. He hasn't got his legs on, or she hasn't got her legs on yet. As you can see, they're not a bad size. They're quite big. I haven't put the ears on yet. I wanted to show you what I normally do is I knit both of the ears and then I pin them into place so that they are even and evenly spaced, and look, I can see how they're sitting, if they're sitting nicely on the head. So that's one little trick that I do. Another thing that I have noticed is a lot of people say when they're making not just these stuffed toys, but any stuffed toys, is that the heads are a bit wobbly. And the reason that, and what people tend to do is put more and more stitches in to try and secure the head. Now, although that head has movement, it's solid in place. And the reason is the bit you need to fill up is this section here, the neck bit. You need to put plenty of stuffing in there so that it's got a good foundation for the head to sit on. If your head's wobbly, put a bit more stuffing in this neck and head section on any stuffed toy that you're making. And that will help give it a bit of stability. So there's that. The other thing that I was going to say, and I always like to do it with my stuffed toys, is I like to weight them. Now, you can weight them with whatever you like. I generally use rice because it's easy to get. Now, what I do with that is I've got these, and I think we all know these little bags. And what I do is, before I sew him up, so as I think I've told you guys before, I knit these in the round where possible. So, for example, this body section is cast on at that point there, that little point there. As soon as I've cast on, I think the second row says to purl. At that point, I start knitting in the round. So for when it says a purl row in the pattern, I just knit it. And for the increases and decreases, I just use, especially on the face here, there's purl decreases. So all you do, instead of doing the purl decrease, just continue to do the knit decrease. So his whole head, you can see the white part is intarsia knitting. So I knit that in the flat, which gives me the opening to put the stuffing in it. But as soon as I finish the intarsia knitting and go on to just the orange, I start knitting in the round. And you can see that on the back of the head there, where the seam is going up to that point there. So at that point, I start knitting in the round and then finish off at the top, just in the round, finish him off. And it's much quicker to knit it that way, and I think a lot neater. So I'll just move that string out of the way and show you, like, for the back of the fox's body. So from the bottom up to that point there, which is where the intarsia knitting for his chest comes in, I then knit it in the flat from that point. So knit in the round up to this spot, and then back and forth, which again gives you the opening to put your stuff in it, your stuffing in. Now, as I said, when it comes to stuffing it, what I do is I put a little bit of wadding in the bottom, then put the bag empty into the fox. Don't fill it up because it won't fit in. Then put the bag in, fill it up with rice or lentils or beans or whatever you like. I think rice is good because it's fine. It gives a smooth edge. You seal the bag up just by pulling the edges together, as you normally would. And just, you can tie that around the top if you're worried about the rice getting out to secure it in. And then what I do is I tend to overstuff slightly, because with these kind of stuffed toys, over a period of time, the stuffing kind of collapses a bit. It's like everything over time. It starts to sag, if you know what I mean. And I think that if you overstuff, it sort of compensates for that a little bit. So once I've got the bag in, then what I do is I push stuffing around the edges of it and constantly smoothing it and shaping it into the shape that I want it to be. So, yeah. That's the fox. And I've got one of the legs here is finished, ready to go on. And I also, again, just wanted to show you. So what I do with the feet is I will knit the white part in the flat, which gives me the opening. Once I get to the orange, I start knitting in the round. So I do all this decreasing. Well, this is actually a gap I'll show you on the other piece I've got. And then basically that you're knitting the tube. The other tip that I can give you is don't overstuff the legs at the top. If you want your fox to sit nicely, that's the other thing. If you put the rice in, it gives it a good weight and it sits nicely. You don't want the legs sticking straight out like that if you've overstuffed them. So you want to just stuff them a little lightly at the top so that the leg hangs nicely when it's sitting on the bookshelf or something like that. And the final thing that I wanted to show you is I've got the other foot started and I stopped to show you. On the legs in particular, when I'm knitting it, as you can see here, I've left the gap at the bottom. So knit it in the flat, joined it in the round for the orange section. And the way the decreases work for the foot, it leaves an opening on the top like that, which you sew together later on. My recommendation is before you sew that up, sew the bottom section up. Before you sew this section here, put your stuffing in, because it's really hard to get the stuffing down the leg and nicely into that toe area. So stuff the toe area and then seal that up and then continue to stuff the leg as you normally would. So they're all the tips and tricks that I've got on the fox. And hopefully, I'm pretty sure I will have her all finished and looking lovely to show you on the next episode. I will be getting on to making her clothes this week, this fortnight, and hopefully she will be done. But I love making those, and I've actually got all the wool there to make the little mouse as well. So I'm keen to give that a go too. So, as I said before, I was cleaning up the craft room, and it's really hard to stay focused on the job at hand when you're cleaning up your craft room, because you come across so many great things and it reminds you of things you were going to do, and yeah. Anyway, so at one point I have found a little stash of yarn that I had bought at some stage to do a lot of the knitted animals and things that, you know, all the beautiful ones that you see on Instagram. So I cast it on, and this is called, it's called Sitting Kitten by Clair Garland. And as usual, guys, I will put all the things that I talk about in the show notes. So if there's anything that you're interested in, I'll put the links to them. I bought this pattern on Etsy, but you can also buy it on Ravelry. So this is a picture of what it's supposed to look like when it's finished. And I can tell you right now, this is a journey, this knit. You just need to trust the process as far as this knit is concerned, because you feel like you're all over the shop, casting on, casting off, stitch markers here, stitch markers there, you know, stop and sew this, join these, lots of ends. But this is what I've got. And it kind of looks a bit sad and sorry, but it'll look cute next time when I see you and I show it to you. So it looks a little bit. But I've just finished putting in its butt, little butt there, and I'm about to do the legs. So I haven't used the yarn that the pattern suggested. I'm using BC yarn, Semolina, I think it's called, and I will put the details for that, and I'm holding it with a strand of mohair. You're supposed to use 8 ply. I only had 4 ply, so I'm just holding it double. And there is the little face with no eyes, so kind of looks a bit creepy. Sorry, guys. Hope it doesn't terrify you, but I think it'll look cute when it's got eyes and ears. The only thing that I have had a little bit of trouble on the pattern is for the ears section. I don't think I'm supposed to have these on stitch holders. I think I was supposed to cast these off. But you know, I've read it and read it and read it and read it, and it always reads the same, whether it's because that's just how I've got it in my mind. So I don't know if I made a mistake, but I'm going to make it work. So, yep, that's my little it'll be the sitting kitten. Mill will be getting that for Christmas. It's an interesting knit, interesting construction, and I'm telling you, the lady that has designed this, her mind must be amazing. But the face construction, the way it all comes together is amazing. So I'm really enjoying that. And my plan is to actually knit another one of these because I want to make one for Mark's Auntie Rhonda for Christmas too. But what I thought I would do, and I don't know how it'll look, is I'm going to use the black yarn and I'm going to hold it together with some brown mohair instead and see if that gives it the tabby cat kind of look, because that's what kind of cat she's got. But from reading ahead in the pattern, I believe what I'm doing now is I'm knitting down to a point and then you knit the legs and then you knit the flap that goes and fills up the front of the section, so the white belly and the arms and all that sort of thing. But if you do knit this, make sure you've got plenty of stitch markers on hand, because I feel like I'm always putting stitch markers in. So that's the 2 BC yarns that I'm using. Just a plain black, and I would call that off-white. It's almost white, but off-white. And I'm holding that together with some knit picks aloft in just, I think they call that silver. So they're the 3 yarns that I'm using for the little nose and that. Again, just using some leftover pink knit picks aloft that I had handy. So yep, that's the colours that I'm going with, and I'm hoping to have that finished by the time I see you guys next. So with the fox and the kitten, it'll be cuteness overload, won't it? And I'm keeping that in one of my little yarn baskets. So that's my whips. The other thing that I am thinking about casting on is I told you last fortnight is the Fleur by Ashbrook, and the yarn that I showed you last fortnight was actually 4 ply. And when I finished the podcast, I had a look and realised it's actually in 8 ply. Did not do my homework on that one, but and you actually need quite a bit of yarn for it. So I went through my stash and I have got, I've picked this out and I re-dyed up some more Suri alpaca, and I have dyed that up in a yellow colour. Don't know if that's a bit blurry. So I've gone with that and I've put in a little bit of peach and some green highlights to coincide. So I'm thinking that is going to make a nice contrast for my fleur shawl. And I'm just madly trying to think what that green yarn is, but because I've got my little trolley with my yarn stash on. It's just here so I can show it to you. So I had a jumper's quantity of this, and this is also Juniper Moon Farm Dromodrony. Okay, well, I'm probably not saying that correctly, but that's the green that I'm using. It's a beautiful colour, and it's going to be super soft because this is a... Seriously, I have got limited space here, and I keep putting my glasses down, and I do not know what I've done with them. Oh, is that them? I mean, where could they possibly go? Anyway, all right, let's see if I can see this without my glasses. Baby camel. Yep, this has got baby camel in it, so it's really soft, really, really nice. So there's that. Maybe I'll put them in this basket. Yep, there they are. I just remembered I put them in the basket with the kitty. Super professional here. All right, this is better. Luxury blend of baby camel and extra fine merino wool. And 70% wool, 30% camel. And this colour is called Wild Mallard, which is a really deep teal colour, I would call that. So that's what I'm planning on casting on pretty soon. In fact, if anybody else would like to knit the fleur, we can have a bit of a knit along. So I'll probably cast that on between now and the next podcast. So that's that. That's my whips. And let's have another question. Just checking the time to see how I'm going. Look, this is going to be a long one, guys. I'm sorry. I hope that's okay. So Karen asked, how long have you been painting? How did you learn? And what is my favourite craft? Right, well, I've been painting, I would say, for probably close to 20 years. And I've been painting on and off. I remember as a kid doing a bit of painting. Dad used to take us into Deakin University when they had open days. I remember standing there at one stage completely mesmerised by a lady that was doing some Chinese painting, and she was painting a lovely waterfall. And after Dad had always taken us to these open days, sometimes we would go to Chinatown in Melbourne and have lunch because Dad absolutely loved Chinese food. He loved everything. Mum and Dad actually travelled to China. We had a lot of Chinese food, authentic Chinese food growing up and things like that. Mum and Dad in particular, he loved the politics of China and all that sort of thing. So he used to take us into Chinatown, and I begged him for one of the brushes that the Chinese people use. And I've got one that's kind of similar here. It's kind of like this sort of thing. Theirs comes to a lovely point. And I remember coming home and practicing that painting. So I've always done it sort of informally. As a kid, Mum used to send me off to the local community centre every Saturday morning, which I hated getting out of bed for, but when I got there, I absolutely loved it. And I used to be instructed by a guy called Don. He was an old guy. I don't know who he was or where he came from. And I used to do a lot of pencil drawing there. So that's where I started drawing. And I did that for literally for years. And then as I got older, I got into the folk art painting. And you can see just over my shoulder here, there's a green tub hanging on the wall, just behind that light there. And that is actually an old tin bath that my grandma used to bathe my mum in. And I started doing a bit of folk art painting, and I folk art painted that. I'll put, look, it's not the best. I'll take a photo and put it in. A little bit embarrassing, but you've got to start somewhere with these things. And it just shows that you're not an expert straight off the bat. But I do remember going off and having some folk art classes, but that didn't last very long because they wanted me, he kept wanting me to do it the way he would paint it. And so basically what I did, and I tend to do this a lot, I'll go into a class, I'll learn the rudimentary techniques and then come home and apply them to whatever I want to do. And I did that here on at the local arts and crafts centre. They had a lady come out and she did a watercolour class, and I decided to go to the class because before I had the accident, I loved going off and doing classes here, there and everywhere. And my confidence took a bit of a blow and I didn't want to do that anymore. So that was the first class that I went to after I'd had the accident. And I can tell you, people were so nice, getting my paintbrushes and paper for me and helping me as much as it was a really nice experience. But I did the same thing there. I learnt basic techniques from that lady and then came home and just implemented them and applied them how I wanted it to be. So that's what I tend to do. So that's how I sort of got into painting, and that's how I kind of learnt. What's my favourite craft? I don't really have a favourite. I'm always up for trying something new. If I get onto a new craft, that's my favourite for that time. And then I'll find a new craft and then that's my favourite. So I don't really have a favourite. I kind of bounce all around and I like that. I like to try different things and, you know, there's so many crafts out there to enjoy. So why not? So yeah, that's that. So I thought next I would talk to you a little bit about some dream knitting that I've been doing, because I have bought an advent calendar and I was kind of scoping around to see what I would knit with it, and I stumbled across a few patterns that quite appealed to me. So I've written them down and I thought I would have a chat with you about them. If you guys have got an advent calendar and you don't want to do the habitation throw, or you've done it already and want something different, I found this shawl and she only uses 3 or 4 colours in it, but I think it would really lend itself to an advent calendar knit. And that is a lady called Julie Knits in Paris on Ravelry, and the shawl is this one, and it is the Cheveronne shawl. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. It's a bigger shawl. I think it'd be a fun knit, and especially if you were changing the colours all the time. Alison and I sent it to Alison to say, what do you think of this one instead of the Stephen West? So she quite liked it. But I can recommend this Julie Knits in Paris. She's got some really fun and interesting patterns. She's got a tea there that I actually quite liked called the Jenny Flower Tea, which you could also use the minis and knit actually a garment. So that's this pattern here, and she uses fun colours. She's got fun photography. Yeah, she looks like she'd be a fun person. So there's those two things. So yeah, let me know what you think about those two knits. I think they'd be good. Another couple of patterns that I came across that I thought that I would like to knit at some point, and that is the Kate Davies Tram Tree Tram Tro. And it's like she wears it as like a winter sleeveless jumper with a shirt underneath it. But I think if you knit that in a bamboo merino or even the merino linen, it'd be like a nice summer tee, although I think it's an 8-ply. So that's this garment here. But I like the way it comes straight down with the side split. There's no sort of heavy tight band on the bottom. I think it'd be comfortable to wear. The reason that I was looking at these is I've recently bought a few new items for my wardrobe, and they're more the tunic style garment, and I feel like they're comfortable and they're breezy, and you can eat stuff and people don't know because they're not tight. And I thought, I might have a look and see what knitted tunics. So that's the reason I saw this garment from Kate Davies came up in the knitted tunic section. Another one that came up, and let's see if I can't stuff this name up, is by Ito Kinu, and it's the Vroda. Now, this is an interesting tunic. It says that it's knit in 2-ply, which, how scary is that? but it's beautiful. I don't know whether I would actually ever knit this. I was looking at it because I don't want the lace at the back if I'm sitting in my wheelchair. I want the lace at the front. But if you look at the way that this lady is wearing it, she's wearing it quite high up around the front of her neck. I reckon you could spin it round and wear it back to front as sort of like a nice summer throw over, I suppose you'd call it. But it's a really beautiful pattern. You might have to adjust the hemline a little bit if you did that, but that would be pretty easy to do, I think. Says me, haven't even read the pattern. But it's a beautiful top, and yeah. So that was another thing that I spotted on a Ravelry when I was looking around at what I can do with my Advent minis. Yeah, so that's a little bit of dream knitting. And I thought the other thing I thought I would talk to you about is some podcasts that I've been enjoying. And that is, I've got 3 here. So the podcasts that I've been enjoying lately are A Friend to Knit With, and she knits some beautiful things. So have a look at her. She's got a nice little podcast, so really just pleasant to have on in the background. Of course, the other one that I really enjoy is Little Workroom Crafts with Davina. She is so funny and friendly, and I like it that she's got some creative ideas. She thinks outside the box. In her recent podcast, she was showing how she's going to mount her latest cross stitch. I think she's a very creatively minded person, and she shows some interesting things. Plus, you can't help but have a little bit of a chuckle with her. She's a very fun lady. And the last person that I've been watching is Lexi Knits. And she has knit, I would say, what would be my favourite of all the Stephen West Slipstravaganza shawls. She's done it in a lovely mustard and a deep sort of a beetrooty reddish colour. Looks really, really nice. But not only that, she's knitting a second one. Is she nuts? Maybe. But the other one that she's doing is in more bold and out there, eclectic type colours. So if you're not watching those podcasts, have a look. A few people have asked me what I'm watching and what I recommend, so they're quite good ones. And in other news, lovely Susan from Ash.and.Eve.designs contacted me and asked me if I would be interested in doing a giveaway for you guys. And I said absolutely, because her yarn is lovely. So we are running this on Instagram. I will be putting the post up just before this podcast goes up. So you'll probably see it's already on my Instagram. And what we want you to do is, if you're following me and you're following Susan, that's great. And if you just leave a comment about what socks you would like to knit out of this yarn in 2021. So if you've got a good sock pattern that you can share with us all, if you can put that down in the messages, and I'll work out who is going to be winning this, and I'll announce it probably on the next podcast, but probably on Instagram first, because it's going to be like an Instagram prize. But Susan is dyeing some lovely yarn at the moment, and that is her logo. So she is Ash.and.Eve.designs on Instagram. Not only is she doing lovely self-striping yarn, she's got a beautiful range of colours in her shop, and she does some lovely little crocheted animals, which I might have one of those to show you on the podcast soon. But this is the self-striping. I believe it's 4 stripes that is up for grabs, and it's beautiful. The yarn is lovely and soft. It is I'll tell you what the blend is. Nope, doesn't say. So I'm assuming this is a merino nylon blend. Let's go with that. But yep, it's got some beautiful colours in there. I'll just hold it a bit closer. You can see some lovely blues, There's a bluey purple colour, pinks. Yep, Susan's doing a great job on the self-striping sock yarn. I know she's got some in her shop at the moment, so if you don't want to take the chance of potentially not winning this and missing out, go and have a look in her shop at some of her other colours. She did gift me a ball of yarn as well. Try not to crinkle too much, I didn't get it out of the packet. Okay. So this is the ball that Susan has gifted me, and I know she's got some of these in her shop as well. Lovely pinks, blues, a soft grey. So, yeah, really, really nice. So if you want to get on to Susan's shop, I'll put her link in the down box below if you want to treat yourself to a nice ball of self-striping sock yarn for Christmas. Why not? And she's included in the package will be a little packet, and it's got some tea and a little stitch marker and her business card, and it's got a little thing on the back that says, "Thanks a bunch." Thank you, Susan. So, yeah, keep an eye out on my Instagram for that giveaway. All right, let's have another question. So, Amanda wants to know, how do you decide what project to do next? And I have to say, out of all the questions that I had, this is the one that I've given the most thought. Because to be quite honest, I have no idea how I choose the next project. I might have a plan. When I'm making something, I might think, all right, next I'm going to make whatever it is. Then I get to the end of the project. That idea completely goes out the window and I just cast something randomly on. That's how it rolls. I'll be finishing off, casting off, I'll look around and see a skein of yarn and think, oh, I could knit something out of that. And my plan for what I was going to make, gone. So in answer to that question, I have no idea. No idea at all. It's a random thing. But that's okay. It keeps it fun. Right, well, the postie's coming. Let's see if these guys can keep it on the down low. Now, I've got my Etsy sellers. So I've got 2 Etsy sellers because I thought coming into Christmas what I would do is offer up 2 Etsy sellers because you guys might be looking for Christmas gifts. And so between now, I think there's 4 podcasts that I plan on doing between now and Christmas. I will show 2 Etsy sellers on each episode. Now, I will tell you that these 2 Etsy sellers have got more than 120 sales. But at the time of my making the purchase on these, they didn't. So I was tossing up whether I would still show them. One of them is a gift. One of them I have just bought because they did have a lower number of sales. But I thought, you guys might still want to know about it anyway. So I'm going to tell you about them anyway. All right, so first up I have got, this is from the Etsy store called I Made It For You. And her name is Jen, and she's from Hobart in Tasmania. And as of this morning, when I checked all the details on this, she has 128 sales. And she's got some beautiful things. She's into ceramics. I was looking for some buttons. So I've purchased these lovely buttons that have got dragonflies on them. Let me see if I can get that in the middle. And they're ceramic. Beautifully packaged. This came absolutely lovely in terms of the packaging. And for those 3 pins, I paid $15. So, yeah, about $5 a button, which for a handmade button, I don't think is ridiculous, considering what you'd pay at Spotlight for basic buttons. So they're handmade. I thought they were quite nice. And I couldn't pass this guy up, and he was $20, and she makes pins as well. So a little llama pin, It's just got the normal clip on the back of it. Be a nice gift for a knitting friend, I think. It was free postage on these items. She also does some lovely ceramic yarn bowls. She's got an arrangement of pins that you can, of these pins with cats and things on it. As I said, beautifully packaged, and I think a nice gift for a knitty friend, or any friend really. But I think that yeah, that's a nice little thing. So that was one Etsy seller. Now the other Etsy seller is called Infinite Love Creates, and she has 158 sales in her store, and she is based in Sydney, New South Wales. Now I paid $56 for this item. It is a gift for the lovely Beck, because she loves her garden and she's quirky, and this is quirky. And it is a hanging basket of a cute little bear doing yoga. So she will be able to put that in her garden. As I said, I paid $56 for this free postage, but I think it's a nice little thing. Beck will love it. I can just see it hanging in her garden. It's got the drainage hole. I think you had the choice whether you have a drainage hole or not, but it has got a drainage hole. It's finished off beautifully. It was well packed. I'll be packing it back up in that because I have to send this down to Victoria. And yeah, I'm just trying to get onto my Christmas shopping. So that is part of Beck's Christmas present. And I think she will love that. So they're my two Etsy sellers this week, and we'll have another two next fortnight. All right, let's have another question. I should be marking these off. I don't know what I've done with the pen. So I've done that one, I've done that one. Okay, Julia wants to know, how did I meet my husband? How big is your craft room? And how do I keep all my crafts tidy and organised? Well, I think tidy and organised is a bit of a stretch, but I do try to keep them in some semblance of order. My craft room here is a standard bedroom size. When we bought the house, they had a double bed in here. So it's a larger room, but not massive. And of course, if you think that I am trying to do my sewing, my crafts, and basically run my Etsy store from this room, there's a lot of stuff in this room, and it can get messy sometimes. I'm not a messy person. I like things tidy, but for some reason in this craft room, things get out of hand real quick. So yeah, it's just a standard room, and what I thought I'm going to do, I'll talk about that now, is over January I will be shutting my Etsy shop, and I don't think I'll be doing any podcasts through January. I'm just going to take a month off. But what I thought I would do to stay in touch with you guys is, my plan is, and I haven't really worked out how I'm going to do it, I might need to get my husband to give me a hand, is I thought I might upload a craft room tour in January. So I will go through my craft room, I will show you my setup and how I've got things organised. I generally keep one craft or another in a particular area. But Julia, if you want to see a more detailed and up close and up personal look at my craft room, you'll have to hang out for that video in January. So that's that. And how did I meet my husband? We met at school. We were 15. I had just changed to the school that he attended, and by the time I finished out, we were in Form 3, which I think's Year 9. I don't know what you guys call that in America, but we were 15 when we first met, and we have been together pretty much ever since. I don't want to give you guys the illusion that everything is peaches and cream, because as in most relationships, we've had our up and downs just like everybody, but we're still happily together. We are still in love, which is something a bit different after all these years. we still spend a lot of time together. I think that if you asked my husband, he would say I was his best friend, and I would say the same. So we have been through thick and thin. Obviously, you know, car accidents and, you know, going through the teenage years with kids. You know, it's life, isn't it? It's life, and you get through it. I'm glad we're still together, and yep, it's been, well, we've been together for a long time, but it doesn't feel like it. But yep, that's how we met. We met at school. So that's that. Now, I have got my For Me, From Me section. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just looking at the time. This is going to be a long video. But I've only got one more question here, so I thought we'll answer that as well. And that'll be the last of it. What was my profession? And does your son watch your videos? And that question was from Liz. I was a stay-at-home mum up until my son started, I think it was about grade 5 or 6, and we decided to send him to a private school. So I went back to work to help cover the costs of that. And at the time, I was working at Coles supermarket. I started off on the checkouts, but I finished up running the service desk. So I was doing that. I did that for about 3 years. Then we moved to the country, to a farm, and I had 12 months off just setting the farm up. And then we bought a business in the local town at Merbau North in Victoria. And it was basically like a discount store, but a jack of all trades. We sold a bit of everything. It was a small town, and we sort of catered to what the local community wanted. So I did that for a while. And after that, I got a job doing solicitor instruction for a finance company. So I was really only doing that for a couple of months before I had my car accident. And yeah, they are basically the 3 jobs that I've ever had as an adult. So that's what I did for a profession. And my son doesn't watch the whole video, but he does. Last time I spoke to him, he said to me that he thought my lighting was pretty good at the moment. And he thought that the fairy lights in the background looked quite good. So he doesn't watch the whole podcast because, you know, he's a big cool guy. He doesn't want to be watching crafting stuff. But he does have an interest. Both of my children are interested in what I'm doing for the most part, and offer advice and assistance where required, as well as my husband. So my whole family is very supportive. So, yeah. So that's it. That's all the questions. All right. So if you've been watching and you don't want to watch the For Me, From Me section, I really appreciate you sticking through this video. This was a bit of an epic one, and I look forward to catching up with you in 2 weeks. Stay safe, stay well, and enjoy your crafting. And for the rest of us, let's see what I've been buying. Okay, let's see what I've been buying, guys, in the For Me, From Me. I think I've been pretty good. I have been buying a few things online that are presents, Christmas presents, but actually for myself, not a great deal. So I've been pretty good. But as I said to you earlier, I did watch the Lexi Knits podcast, and she is always going on about the Louie and Lola yarn, and I've never tried it. So I thought to myself, I've got to try it, as I do. So I went on their site, and she was actually going on about the merino silk yak base. So that's what I've honed in on. And the colour that I've bought is called Hazelnut Gelato. And it's really pretty, I think. I did buy a jumper's quantity, so there's 3 skeins. So that's it there. Really nice colours. It's got like an olive green with a burgundy sort of colour tone through it. I might just take the band off one of these so we can have a closer look at it. I can get that off. I've got everything balanced on my lap because, as I said, there's no table here. So let's have a closer look at that. Really nice colours. It's got a beautiful sheen to it. So I blame Lexi for this purchase. I take no responsibility for it. But yeah, it's a really nice colour. That olive green in there, really delightful. So as I said, I've bought 3 skeins of that, and hopefully I'll be making something out of that next year. Early next year. Get on it. And while I was in their shop, I noticed that they had the ChiaoGoo needles. I've actually only got 1 set of ChiaoGoos, if you can believe that, and I think they're a 5mm. And I really like them, and they're only, I think, they're only 60 centimetres or 40 centimetres. They're really short, so I only ever use them if I'm doing a hat or something. But I like them, and I noticed that they had the ChiaoGoos, so I've picked up a few different sizes in those. I don't really like the interchangeables that much. I don't know whether it's just been my experience with them, but I bought these in a 3.75, a 5mm, and these are all 100 centimetres in length. I've got the 4mm and the 3.5. So I think that those, I was trying to think of sizes that would be I most use, and I think that's a good selection. But yep, so I got that from the same website, Louie and Lola. And the last thing that I got, because I could not resist, is she's got her little pins in the shop. So I got one of those, and that's the little dash hound with some little balls of yarn. Quite cute. So that one. And another thing that I picked up, and Amanda messaged me to say Morris and Sons that do the Perfect Regia Perfect sock yarn was having a sale. So I can't resist a sale. So I went on and I bought 2 balls of that, which I'll be knitting up at some stage for Mill. Yep, the colours are out there because that's what Mill likes. So it's got purple and the orange, and this one I think is, if you dive into the middle there, it's got a little bit more of the reds. They're kind of Christmassy actually, aren't they? I could knit them for Christmas. I don't know how I'll go getting those done along with all the other bits I've got on my plate, but I might cast those on. And yeah, so that's got the orange in it, as you can see. It's got the picture on the side of it there, what they'll look like once they're knit up. So I think she'll like those. And I'll just show you the close-up picture of those ones. They're definitely Christmassy kind of socks. Come on. It's not focusing. Let's try that again. There we go. Yep. And then Mr. WhotKnot was out and about, and he, as I've told you before, cannot resist buying me a present. And he knows I like to try things that are a bit off left centre. And this is a children's kit, because he knows. And yeah, so I've got a solar bug that I'm going to be making. So I thought I might do a little video of me making this, and I'll put it on next week's episode. But it's got all the gadgets in it, and apparently once it's all assembled, you can put it out in the sun, and I thought I might take it out when I'm out at the pool and see if it charges up and runs around the pool. So yeah, that's a bit of fun. That'll be something fun to make. And the other thing that I bought, which I don't want to sort of grab it down because I've got it all beautifully displayed on my cabinet, is I did buy the Luli advent calendar. So I'll be looking forward to, I've been really good. I haven't even taken a peek. I'll put a picture of it in here. It came so beautifully packaged and presented. I've taken it out of its box and I've put it in the basket. But it does come with a self-striping ball of yarn to open on the 25th. The 24th, I should say, or was it the 25th? Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. But apart from that, no other excitement. Where's Buddy? Buddy, come here. Bud. Bud. I was going to tell you the disgusting story about him. Because we live one house in from the canal. Here he comes, I can hear him. I'll have to put him on my lap so that you can see how... Come here, Buddy. How beautiful he is. Come here, come on. Yeah. So look at this sweet, sweet dog. So beautiful. And we live one house from the canal. And I know this might be a little bit disgusting, but sometimes we get water rats running along the fence. Don't really pay much attention to them. There's not a lot. You know, you might see 1 or 2 a year. Anyway, the other morning, Sunday morning, we've just finished having our breakfast and everything. And Buddy was out in the garden having a bit of a play around. That's all right. They like to do that. And I said to my husband, I'm going to go to the loo. I'm going to get ready because we were going out that day. I literally just sat down on the toilet and Buddy came running into the bathroom with a dead rat in his mouth. I couldn't get my breath. I'm calling for my husband. He thought I'd taken a fall. He comes running into the bathroom looking to grab me. Buddy's going crazy with this dead rat around the bathroom. I'm screaming and yelling. To say the scene was chaotic is an understatement. So then I felt so sick. I couldn't even touch him. I didn't even want to touch him. I had to give him a good old bath. He's never had such a good scrub down in his life. And of course my husband got rid of the rat. Yes, but that was my excitement for the week. And my husband said to me, don't be mad with him. He's bought it in. He's bought it in for you because he loves you. I don't even want him to lick me still. We've got to rebuild our trust. We've got to rebuild our relationship. But, yeah. So that's my gross story for you guys about the rat. Anyway, that's it. This is going to be a very long video this week. I hope you don't mind. I will catch up with you all in 2 weeks' time. We're heading into the downward slide to Christmas. And let's embrace it. Let's embrace Christmas and not be worried about it. It'll be fine. So look after yourselves, enjoy your crafting time, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye. Did I do a good job, buds? No, not too soon. Too soon.